And that was the year that I saved Christmas. Oh, hey, we are doing another episode of Squared Circle Breakdown. How y'all doing?
This one's episode 7. You said the last episode was episode 7.
I said 6776. I didn't know.
I'm surprised you actually got the name right this time.
Oh, yeah. Did you know that there's another podcast called just Squared Circle?
Really?
Yeah.
So technically we're not copyright infringing on anybody's rights here. We put the breakdown at the end, so fuck you. Anyways, this edition, there's no reviews, nothing. We're actually going to be talking about something. Hold on. Wait for it. Positive.
Yay!
What? Something positive about wrestling?
Yes, I can't troll anybody today. Fuck! I gotta actually...
No.
I actually gotta talk about...
No. You could still troll on
We still need the booking of the week.
The booking
Do you not have one this week?
I probably don't, because all this positivity, it's like I ate a bowl of Bootios this morning. I can't.
Maybe, because last week he didn't have one either, and then we made one up midway through the show, where we made up a pay-per-view called Disqualification.
That was the best.
And the whole point of the pay-per-view is to try and get the other person disqualified.
Why don't we introduce everybody the idea of a TLC match? Taffy, lemons, and cookies.
No.
No. Or what was the...
That was not one of your better ones.
That wasn't actually my idea, I don't think.
Oh, Lord.
Well, what are we talking about today, Monoxide?
We're talking
My
about...
name is Senor Guapo.
We're talking about things that actually elicit a... Wait for it. Positive reaction.
Hooray!
So these are our top 10 positive moments, or as the wrestling world would call them, mark-out moments. Top 10 moments that all three of us actually came in our pants for.
Yes.
Now,
all of mine actually just elicit an emotional response that isn't, this is fucking bullshit.
well, before we get to our list, because I don't know about you guys, I do have a shitload of honorable mentions I would like to get out of the way.
Well, since you're the only one that has honorable mentions and the rest of us struggled to get 10, why don't you go ahead and do those?
Okay, I'm not going to go into complete detail on these, because again, they're just honorable mentions, and they were close. I may go into small details. Okay, so my honorable mentions that could have made the list, but they just fell short, were the Hardy Boys returning at WrestleMania 33, AJ Styles debuting at the Royal Rumble last year, Chris Jericho returns on Raw 2007, Christian wins the world title at Extreme Rules 2011, Brock Lesnar returns on Raw 2012, John Cena returns at Royal Rumble 2008, a lot of returns, Dean Ambrose cashes in Money in the Bank. Oh, and then he also won Money in the Bank at Money in the Bank 2016 on the same night. The Miz wins the Money in the Bank 2010. Miz wins the WWE title on Raw 2010. Daniel Bryan wins Money in the Bank 2011. Chris Benoit wins the world title at WrestleMania 20. Those are my own.
I will not mention which ones, but 3 of those are on my top 10 list.
2 of those are on mine.
Okay. But they are just my honorable mentions. So
I also have one honorable mention because I thought of it just a second ago.
Okay, go ahead.
The New Day, their entrance for Mania what was last year? 33.
32 would have been last.
32s. 32s. When they came out of the box of Bootios dressed as Super Saiyans.
Yes,
I have an honorable mention.
Oh, now she's got one. Go ahead.
Well, mine is because I wasn't watching wrestling when I witnessed this, so I don't count it. I only have things that I personally witnessed, like live as it happened kind of thing. Trish Stratus, Lita, main event of Raw, Women's Championship. I will continue to watch that match, even though I did not see it live.
Okay. So, I guess what we'll do is we will go around, go number 10. Everybody will say their number 10, the actual moment, describe what happened in the moment, and why it happened.
Okay.
So, I guess, ladies first, Guapo.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Well, if I must.
Was that an insult to him and me?
I think it was.
You could take your pick on that one, how you want to interpret it.
Fuck you, Monoxide.
I am triggered by that.
Wait a minute. Did I just assume your gender? Ah!
Did you see my gender?
Oh my god, where's Anita Sarkeesian to trap me in a fucking bubble and kick me away?
So much for positive.
That's true.
Okay.
I had to bring up that whore's name. Anyways, go ahead.
And now, my number 10.
10!
And of course,
10!
my number 10 is perfect because it was Ty Dillinger coming in at number 10 of the Royal Rumble.
That was great. I remember watching that.
I marked out like no other for him coming.
I think had he come out at any other number, it would not be as big of a moment.
No, it wouldn't. It was perfect. And what made it even better was literally the night before we had did a simulation rumble on my 2K17, and number 10 was Ty Dillinger, which was perfect. So it's written in the code. Ty Dillinger comes out at 10.
I was at that Royal Rumble.
Where was it?
Yes, you were.
It was in San Antonio.
That's right, yeah, because it's over 20 years since they've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. All right, that makes sense.
Tradition.
My number 10 was Sting coming to WWE at Survivor Series 2014.
Really?
And it was because of a lot of things. One, everybody wanted to see Sting come in. He came in and attacked the Authority. And I just remember, because for months we had been any match that was like, and he's going to have a mystery tag team partner or a mystery opponent, being the smarky trolls that we are, were like, clearly it's going to be Sting, guys. Yeah, it's going to be Sting, guys.
We said that so much.
And our buddy Will was like, there's no fucking way Sting is coming into WWE. And our friend Hunter was so like, yes, he is. He's coming to WWE. And when Sting's music hit and he came out, Hunter jumps out of the couch and just starts screaming, "Eat a dick, Will! Eat a dick!"
That's the funny thing, because when you said Hunter, I was actually asking myself, which Hunter is she referring to? That Hunter or the Hunter in the ring that had to witness him coming in?
Probably a little of both.
A little bit of both, yeah.
Our Hunter specifically was jumping up and down, and I had a second floor apartment at the time, so we were going to wake my cop neighbors downstairs, and he's jumping up and down, pointing at our buddy Will, going, "Eat a dick, Will!"
Yeah, eat it raw while you're at it, especially on Monday nights. So, anyways, that's your number 10. Okay, my number 10 is interesting. My number 10 was 12 years in the making. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels meet for the first time since the Montreal Screwjob.
I remember that one. You know how I remember that one? TNA and WWE were on the same night.
Yes. So
I remember because we got two TVs and put them next to each other and watched both.
So
why would you watch TNA?
And then didn't watch Impact because that was on, because Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels was on.
So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you why this was a mark-out moment for me. So there are three wrestlers that I grew up idolizing. Well, the three wrestlers that got me into the business, I should say. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. Those were my three guys. And I didn't really know until about maybe a few years later when I started watching that Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels really did not like each other in real life. I watched the Bret Hart documentary, and he talks about how he didn't like Shawn Michaels and all that. There was always this bad blood between them. And I don't need to tell you about the screw job. You all know about the screw job. I know at the Hall of Fame when Bret Hart got inducted, he didn't want to show up at Mania. In fact, I think there was rumors that he didn't even want Shawn Michaels at the Hall of Fame. He didn't want to even see him. There was always bad blood between these two. And so, when it was announced that Bret Hart was going to be a part of this Raw, they also had an interview with him somewhere where he basically said, "I'm over the screw job. I want to make amends." So Bret Hart, first off, Bret Hart coming on Raw for the first time in like 12, 13 years, that is a monumental moment in and of itself. But then he gets into the ring, and he said, the first thing I want to be done is I want Shawn Michaels to come out here so we can make amends. And Shawn Michaels comes out. This was at the time he was feuding with The Undertaker. Shawn Michaels has that serious look. He comes in the ring. They're both staring down. And the kid in me is, like, going crazy. Because I'm like, this is epic. This is like monumental proportions here. And not only did Bret Hart say, I want to bury the hatchet, they actually allowed each other to get their grievances out of the way. They were like, you know what, before we bury this hatchet, I got to get this off my chest. And they got everything they wanted to say. They talked about the past. They talked about how they didn't like each other because they felt they never respected each other, blah, 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 blah. It was such a great moment. They hugged it out. They became friends. It was a historical moment for a wrestling fan like myself that grew up with these two. Love this to death, and I actually watch it. I watch this segment every once in a while, especially now that I have the network. So, number 10.
I remember watching that as well because I remember it made me stop watching TNA because, like I said, we had both TVs on, and that was way more. I don't even remember what was on Impact when that was going on.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Exactly. Who the fuck
Yeah.
cares?
This was during a dark time for me for wrestling, so
Anywho,
I wasn't watching.
Guapo, number 9.
My number 9 is the main event of WrestleMania 20: Shawn Michaels versus Triple H versus he who shall not be named, Chris Benoit.
you mean Stevie Richards?
Yeah. That was a good match. I wasn't there to watch that, but
that was one of the first Manias I ever got to see, and watching it live, being a massive Chris Benoit fan, I loved every second, and how he won with making Hunter tap out to the crippler crossface is best thing in the world. And then the embrace between him and Eddie after was even better.
that match has a lot of replay. Like, you can watch it over and over again.
Oh yeah, I've shown that match to my girlfriend because obviously she's not into it as I am, or at least she hasn't followed it. She has a brother who has watched wrestling, so that's how she has some of the knowledge. I've shown her some Benoit matches, that one and the one with Angle at Royal Rumble, and
Yeah.
she's the type of person that'll definitely watch a match and appreciate the art that goes into it. And the one thing is whenever I show her these two Chris Benoit matches, especially the first time, her eyes bug out at how great the shit is. So.
And I know it's a little off topic, but how do I put this? What happened with the results of the end of his life is absolutely detrimental. You can never think or split up.
Can never undo it.
You can never undo it, and you can never think of Chris Benoit, the man, the wrestler, without thinking of that, which sucks because as a wrestler, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Now
he does, but they'll never do it now.
Nope.
Let me just say this. I know this podcast was meant to be for positive thoughts.
Correct. Positive.
But I'll say this. You don't have to like the guy. You don't have to respect him. But at the end of the day, you can't deny the guy went out there, had some of the best matches in the history of the company, and influenced a plethora of guys who got into the business. This is not emotions here. This is facts. He had matches that are considered classics and influenced a lot of guys to get in. And on top of it, we always say Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. They influence the smaller guys to get in. But Benoit and Eddie influenced even smaller guys to be able. I should also include Rey Mysterio on that list. These three influenced even smaller guys. See, Shawn and Bret, they only inspired like the guys who were only 6 foot and 200 pounds. Benoit, Eddie, and Rey, on the other hand, they influenced people who were like 5'10" and under. Now, there's always been guys at that size, but it's like those three made it possible for guys to do it, even though Vince still has it in his mind that, it's a big man's business. That's why you got Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin and Jinder Mahal in your main event.
Yes.
So,
Kristen, your number 9.
My number 9 is the unveiling of the new WWE Women's Championship here in 2016 because since I started in 2007, I had to live through the era. We did have a WWE Women's title, but matches were, maybe 5 minutes, including entrances. Maybe that was considered a long match. Nobody talked. There were no promos. There were no backstage. It was just essentially the faces were good girls and the heels were bitches. And then going through the era of the fucking ugly diva belt, the goddamn butterfly rainbow unicorn belt that I hated. Seeing this belt, it wasn't my favorite belt because it just looked like the men's title, but that was kind of the point of it, that looked like the men's title because it was recognized as much as the men's title. And so it was nice to have the WWE Women's Championship again and have it mean something as opposed to this throwaway fucking diva belt.
I liked the unveiling, but I do not like the design. Only for the fact
I'm the same. I feel the same.
I think that the women, at the end of the day, you can treat them seriously, but at the end of the day, women are still unique to men, and men are unique to women. They're unique in their own qualities. So there's no reason that a woman's title shouldn't have to be unique. It don't have to be gimmicky like that stupid-ass butterfly belt. But I do feel that the women bring a unique presence to the show. Let me put if you book it right, like the NXT women's division, you see?
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait till Asuka gets on the main roster. I want to see her whoop some ass.
I kind of don't want her on the main roster. I have no idea how they'll use her.
You know what? Touche. They'll make her in like remember Kenzo Suzuki's manager with the white what's the white powder all over her face, and John Cena said that Kenzo's jizz or some dumb shit. They'll probably do that with her. Who knows? You're gonna have a wife.
Like I said, if I'm gonna pick a women's belt, I liked the Knockouts title because I thought it was its own belt, but also like serious looking. That was one thing TNA did do well. I liked the Knockouts title. I liked the old NXT women's title because I feel like it was that silver. It had the pink and silver, kind of like the ugly ass diva belt, but it was like a real looking title. I'm not sure how I like the new NXT Women's Championship because it kind of reminds. I think all the NXT belts kind of remind me of the X Division belt with the big X in the middle. The point is, the moment of we're not going to be called divas anymore. It's all called superstars. Mm-hmm. We're getting back to we're getting into real women's wrestling, which I never got to be a part of when I first started watching wrestling. Women were just an afterthought. And now they're trying to incorporate them. I mean, hell, their matches, you'd go several pay-per-views without even having a women's match. Now you have at least one women's match per pay-per-view, if not two.
Yeah. I would like to see Kristen and Kevin Dunn in a room together. I would like to see how that would go. That would be so awesome.
Monoxide.
In case you don't, I was just going to say, in case you don't know who Kevin Dunn is, Kevin Dunn supposedly is a big reason why the women were treated that way for the last 10 years. So.
Well, then, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Anyways, my number 9 mark-out moment of all time. Steve Austin returns at No Way Out 2003. Now, this was significant for me because if you say my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time, I actually just did this recently. It always fluctuates, but I think this top 5 has now become permanent. My top 5 wrestlers are number 5, Bret Hart, 4, Chris Jericho, 3, Steve Austin, 2, Shawn Michaels, 1, Undertaker. So Steve Austin's my number 3. So and Steve Austin has been my number 3 pretty much ever since I ever devised a top 10 favorite wrestlers ever. Like Undertaker, Shawn, and Steve have always been locked in. Now,
All Texas guys, by the way.
All Texas guys, yes. A New Jersey guy loving them Southerners. I guess it's true when they say smile when you say Texas. Anyways, Steve Austin had taken his ball and went home because in the lead up to King of the Ring, he was supposed to job to Brock Lesnar. He thought it was stupid. He thought, why are you going to job me to Brock Lesnar on a random Raw when you could make a pay-per-view buy? You should be in the finals. Now, I didn't know this until I actually listened to a Steve Austin podcast with Shane. He actually never talked to Vince about it. He just heard the idea and just didn't go. He just went home. I used to be huh?
That's unprofessional, but continue.
Right. I thought it was they actually had a talk and Vince just was being stubborn and then Steve Austin went home. I thought Steve was right in the beginning, but now that I heard that, I got to agree with Steve, because Steve has said that out of anything he's ever done, that was the most unprofessional, and he wishes he could go back and redo that. And I agree. But anyways, he took his ball, he went home. This was June of 2002. In the lead up to February of 2003, I'm not sure what Eric Bischoff did as the GM to rub Vince McMahon the wrong way, and I'd have to go back. But basically, Vince McMahon said that Steve Austin's going to return at No Way Out, and you're going to face him. And for weeks, Bischoff is panicking, blah, 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 blah. And what I liked about it is they never brought Austin on Raw. They waited until the pay-per-view, because they knew it was going to be a big buy if you bring Steve Austin on the pay-per-view back. So I'm waiting. Now, at this time, my parents would only buy 2 pay-per-views for me a year, and it was Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. This is when pay-per-views got expensive. But that year, I skipped out on Royal Rumble. I don't remember why. But I remember buying No Way Out because of Steve Austin. Eric Bischoff comes out in his ridiculous martial arts outfit, and he's like telling Steve, let's talk it out like men. Steve Austin's music hits. The crowd goes nuts. I'm going nuts in my own home. I'm like 13 at the time. And Austin steps out, and euphoria hits. It's like, holy shit, he's back. He is back. And not only is he back, he kills Eric Bischoff in this match. He beats the piss out of him. He throws orange juice in his face. He stunners him and allows him to kick out. It is the funniest shit ever. It's one big mark-out moment like no tomorrow. This made me like so ecstatic. And the best part is Jim Ross's commentary. Because after he beats him, Jim Ross is standing. I think he's commentating with Jerry Lawler and Coach. And Jim Ross, after the bell rings and Austin has won, JR's like, you talk about an ass whooping! You talk about a Texas-style ass whooping! And Coach is like, come on, settle down. And he's like, there are 20,000 people going nuts and standing! Why the hell can't I stand? It is the best wrestling moment that year. It's number 9 for specific reasons, but it has to be on this list. When I started this list, this is one of the first mark-out moments that came to mind. This had to be there. But it is number 9.
That was a good one.
Very good. Very good.
Guapo 8.
My number 8 is Kevin Owens' debut in NXT. Not the match, but after Sami Zayn has finally won his NXT title, within his first night, he embraces his best friend, Kevin Owens. And as they walk away, the heel turn. The heel turn.
This one's my number 7. And I have it almost written down word for word exactly how you just said it. Not the match, but his immediate heel turn.
I mean, the match with him and CJ Parker was good, but the heel turn it was everything I wanted because I don't know. I'm sure Monoxide.
Well, because go ahead.
I'm sure Monoxide. You watched Kevin Steen and Generico, their entire involvement together as tag team, and then their entire involvement together as bitter rivals in ROH. Out of all the independent bookings, that was one of my favorites. And now that they have them in this WWE Light, even though it's still NXT, holy shit, I was fucking just going off.
You know what was interesting about that, too, is I feel like up until that point, a lot of the people that they had brought in around that time, they brought them in as a face, and then, several feuds later, then they turned heel. This was the first one they brought him in, and it looked like they were going to do the same shtick where they brought him in as a face. No, immediately heel that night. They even did a thing backstage where it's like, we're best friends. Boom.
It was a literal baby face all the way till the last 10 minutes, and then boom. Oh, yep, Kevin's doing it. Yes! I've never cheered so hard for a man to get his ass kicked.
I love them.
That was great.
I love that moment because, like you said, I got to watch them. I watched them front row when they had their final battle match in 2010, and I was also front row for their final battle 2012 match. I was there when Kevin Steen turned heel on El Generico. But, sadly, that can only be considered an honorable mention, because the rest of these lists, the rest of these, I will explain why they mean more to me. But Kevin Steen coming back, yeah, that's definitely an honorable mention in my eyes. I'll definitely, I didn't think about that, but yes, that is an honorable mention.
And like I said, that one's my number 7, so.
Well, we're on 8.
But my number 8 is Christian beating Alberto Del Douchebag at Extreme Rules for the heavyweight title, because Edge just retired. Like his last match was at WrestleMania, and he had to retire pretty suddenly after that because of the neck stuff and everything. And they had this and so the title was vacated because he retained it at WrestleMania with Christian. I think Christian I don't know if Christian helped him at WrestleMania or if he was just like there. Christian helped him. I remember he was involved somehow.
He helped because of Ricardo Rodriguez.
That's it. That's right. So the title's been vacated. You have Christian, who he's been, a fan favorite for a while, but never really been pushed. And they've lost Edge, their golden boy, and so they're we're gonna give it to Christian. And everybody is so excited when he wins that title. Granted, we forget about the part where he loses it immediately the next day to Randy Orton for bullshit reasons. But whatever.
What?
In that moment, it was amazing. And I think it's more amazing because everybody was so excited about it, and then, the stupidity of taking it off of him after that amazing win after so many years of not winning the big one and kind of being relegated to the mid card. The Dolph Ziggler of his time. It was great to see him win, and then it was infuriating to watch him lose it to Randy Orton the next night.
That's particularly why that's only an honorable mention, because the follow-up put such a sour taste in my mouth it almost affected my liking for the actual moment. It's the same thing.
It's
the same thing with Nexus. So Nexus.
Oh, that one's on my list too.
Well, don't tell me. Come on. You're supposed to get a surprise. Come on.
Sorry.
Anyways.
All right, 8.
8 for me.
Monoxide.
For me, this is the only match, or at least a full match, on this. Because you mentioned Chris Benoit, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels. The whole match was your thing. Mine is Undertaker versus Mankind in Hell in a Cell 1998.
Nice.
Is that the one where he falls off the cell?
No.
No?
This is the one where they just have a match in the ring that a cell just happens to be there. I mean, granted, Mankind kind of gravitates and then just falls onto a table, but that's another story. This match, holy fuck. Let me preface this. Let me preface this because I don't want it to come off this way. To any young pro wrestlers out there, and anybody in WWE, TNA, ROH, GFW, whatever, I do not recommend you do any of this shit, okay? I care for your safety.
Do not try this at home.
I may not care about you, but I do care about your safety. No, I care about you guys. You guys bust your ass every night, whether I'm watching you or not. I mean, there's so much wrestling out there, but I do not recommend you do this, okay? I do not recommend King Road style, the Masawa Kobashi style. I love it to death, but I do not recommend it. I want you to have long-term careers and be able to live off the rest of your life in peace and harmony with all the money you've made. So please, whatever you do, do not do this crazy shit just to please me, okay? I'm just as contempt with a technical wrestling match. Anyways, Mankind Undertaker, alright? there was only one Hell in a Cell match prior, and that was Undertaker Shawn Michaels. And there was only one real big spot, and that was when Shawn Michaels is dangling off the cage and Undertaker basically kicks him off. Well, I didn't watch that match live because that was Bad Blood 97, so I didn't really start to, like, at least my mind being fully developed, I didn't start to be able to memorize the product until the real rise of Steve Austin when he won the Royal Rumble. So anyways, this was my first Hell in a Cell I was going to watch on pay-per-view live. And I remember how it started. Like, Mankind's up on the top of the cage telling Undertaker, come on, let's go. So they have this fight. And I'm saying let's see, this was 1998, June 98, so I was 9 years old at the time. I'm saying as a 9-year-old kid, there is no way that Mankind is just going to fly off that thing. There's no way. Even a 9-year-old is talking rationally to himself. I'm watching this, and they're fighting back and forth, and then all of a sudden they're getting near the edge. I'm like, they're not going to do it, are they? They keep going, and then eventually Taker just takes him and flings him off, and he lands on the table. And you can just hear it in Jim Ross's voice. By God Almighty! By God Almighty! That killed him! That killed him! Like, I can't tell you where my mouth was. It was dropped so goddamn hard that I do think that Ron Jeremy could have fit his fucking cock in my fucking mouth. Not that I want that to happen. I'm just
That
saying.
was a weird way to describe that.
I'm just saying. My mouth was literally...
That was a different analogy.
My jaw... Hey, it's 2017. We're all supposed to embrace homosexuality, so... Listen, if you're gay, you're gay. What you do in the privacy of your own bedroom's your business. I don't care. Anyways, my jaw fucking dropped. I was so shocked by what I had seen. And what made me go even crazier was they were taking a while to get Mankind on the stretcher, get him out. And then all of a sudden, he's getting his ass back up. He wants to keep going. So he goes back up into the cage. They keep fighting, and then Undertaker chokeslams him through the fucking cage into the ring, and my jaw's dropping even further. I'm like, what am I watching here? This is not a match. This is a fucking murder scene.
How is Mick Foley walking around right now after
is?
matches like that?
He is. He barely can walk. He's got, like, no hips whatsoever.
He's missing, like, an ear. He's missing teeth. He's like, how is he walking around?
All right, this is a personal message to Noel Foley, who I guess is getting into the business. Please do not do what your father did. I love your father to death. He is one of my favorites. He's actually in my top 10. But goddamn it, please do not do what he had to do. I beg of you. You're beautiful enough. You don't need to ruin your looks by doing what he did. And then they keep fighting, and then there's thumbtacks involved. Keep in mind, I never saw thumbtacks in a match at that time. And now they're fucking throwing each other on thumbtacks. This whole match was a mark-out moment as a child because I had never seen anything like this in my life. It was crazy. I do not recommend this to anybody. We do not need another one of these matches. It's not a 5-star match. It isn't. But it is a memorable match for all the craziest of reasons. And it has to be on my list of something, but it can't be a great match because it wasn't, technically. But goddamn it, I marked out through the whole entire thing just for the spots. And
doesn't that in itself make it a great match?
It's hard. This match is so unique. It made you mark out, but you marked out because they were going so extreme with what they were doing. It was more of the extreme spots, the extreme nature of the spots that they were doing that made you mark out. It's a memorable match, and I guess you can call it great because this was a match that made Mick Foley's career. So it's definitely number 8 in my eyes, this whole match, but I do not recommend anybody doing this. I implore you, positive, do not do this, please. Anyways.
Guapo, number 7.
My number 7 is RVD versus John Cena at One Night Stand, only because of the crowd.
I was about to say, is this the one where they, John Cena throws his shirt into the crowd, they fucking throw it back into the ring?
And everybody is chanting, fuck you, Cena? Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Their disdain for John Cena and anything not ECW, essentially.
It's too perfect. It really is.
Sometimes the crowd can make a show.
Yeah, this.
But that entire show too was.
I
great.
mean, the Raw after WrestleMania is like proof of that. Sometimes the crowd makes the show.
Anything else you'd like to say about Senior RVD?
No, that's about it.
Okay.
Well, we talked.
Nobody else gets higher, so
That's
there's that.
We already talked about my number 7 because it was Guapo's number 8. So Monoxide.
So you have nothing to add to your number 7 other than.
No, Guapo kind of touched exactly why I liked
following
that.
my coattails there, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am. Well, I apparently appreciated it more than you did because I ranked it higher.
Well, my order's not exactly in any order, so
Well,
whatever.
my number 7, I was there live for this, so there is a bias, but I think you guys will be like, oh, that makes sense. Dolph Ziggler wins the world title the night after WrestleMania 29.
Yes.
So
That's a good one.
I was a big fan of Dolph Ziggler. I still am, but it's like I'm bullish on him now because they don't want to do anything with him. But this was the night after Mania. Alberto Del Rio was in a match with Jack Swagger, and he beat him again because Jack Swagger basically had to fuck up his opportunity. Anyways, so Dolph had the Money in the Bank at the time, and everybody was chanting, "We want Ziggler," and we didn't think he would come out because they already teased us earlier in the night. Daniel Bryan had come out. Dolph Ziggler's music hits, and we're thinking, oh, we're getting Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler. Everyone's cheering, and then they said, and coming to the ring, Big E! And the cheering went from ah to silence. So we were reserved. Then Dolph's music hit, and we all went fucking nuts. You can watch it. The roof blew off. In fact, the video's on my damn channel. I have my actual viewing of it on camera. Literally, I went crazy. And you can hear my reaction on the video. It's on my channel. Go look for it. When they have that little standoff, everyone's booing that Del Rio may retain. When Dolph hit that fucking zigzag and he pinned him 1, 2, 3, the roof fucking shook. I was there. Alex and I hugged each other. We were like, this is one of the greatest moments to see live. And that whole Raw was great, but that moment just started the night. And Dolph winning the world title, and then seeing him, you can literally see in his eyes, he's crying, AJ is crying, Big E, you could tell, is proud of him. The whole entire audience was proud of him. It was so great. It's just one of the best title wins I had ever seen live. In fact, going through my list, it is the best title win I had seen live. Other than one other debatable, but I'll get to that later in the list.
Gotcha. Well, I guess we're on number 6.
6. Yep, number 6.
My number 6 is Sting comes to WWE. And because of all the reasons Kristen said previously.
Wow, we're moving right along.
Pretty much, yeah.
Eat a Dick Will is the best part of Sting returning.
Because Eat a Dick Will has lived in our hearts ever since.
Now, for a while, every time Sting did something, it was Eat a Dick Will on our Smart Market.
Every time Sting showed up on WWE programming, a picture was taken and hashtag Eat a Dick Will was put there after. We even tried, one of our friends who went to go see NXT Live tried to get Sami Zayn to say Eat a Dick Will on camera just to post on the page. He wouldn't post it anywhere else, but just on our page. But unfortunately, Sami Zayn couldn't because he was a babyface, so he couldn't do it.
Aww. Should have grabbed Kevin Owens, man. I don't think Kevin Owens was there.
No, Kevin's wasn't there yet.
Kevin Owens would have done it.
No, but even if
Kevin
he was,
definitely would have did it.
Nah, maybe not, because if a fan's asking him to do something and he wants to gain heel heat, he'll just blow him off.
True.
That's true. My number 6 is the Nexus forming on Monday Night Raw. They came out.
Which Nexus?
They beat the first one, the only true Nexus. So they had that first season of NXT. The first season of NXT was kind of like the men's version of the Diva Search, where they had the show and They would compete in matches and everything, and each week somebody would get eliminated kind of thing, and whoever was there at the end won a WWE contract. That was what NXT was at the very beginning. Wade Barrett ends up winning. Daniel Bryan's probably the only one left in that first NXT class. It was Daniel Bryan, Wade Barrett, what's
his name? Darren Young.
Darren Young's in it. Is he still in WWE?
Yes,
Technically, yes, he is.
Wait. What
Technically.
are we trying to do? You got Wade Barrett, he's no longer there. Daniel Bryan, he's there, but as a general manager. Darren Young, he's still there. Michael Tarver, he's no longer there. Heath Slater, he is still there. David Otunga, he's still there.
Still there. Anyway,
Justin Gabriel, he's no longer there.
Justin Gabriel.
And then there was
I can't remember who else is in it, but
Wait, Justin Gabriel, you mean that guy who had like 20 different
Skip
characters?
Sheffield. Skip Sheffield, he's no longer
no,
there.
he was in season.
Right back.
Wasn't he in season 2?
Who?
Skip Sheffield, or was that?
No, he was
Season
in the
one.
first one.
Okay.
One. And he was in the Nexus.
Because I was about to say, Bray Wyatt was in season 2, wasn't he? He was.
Yes.
Yes.
Husky Harris.
He was Husky Harris. Runs like a what was it? Runs like a Ferrari.
Built like a tank, runs
like a Ferrari. Yeah, something like that. Hits like a tractor, runs like a Ferrari.
The fact
Something
that you
like
guys
that.
remember that is making me question my own wrestling knowledge.
Look,
Anyway,
it's the little useless knowledge
Yes,
that you
exactly.
get us on. You access like a random little tidbit, like, hey, what was this guy's name before he became this? Oh, are you talking about Isaac Yankem? You mean Kane, the dentist?
Don't forget Fake Diesel.
Can't forget Fake Diesel. And now he's running for mayor in Knox County, and he drives the Mean Machine, which is a smart car.
Awesome.
Anyways, so
Cool had the mighty fallen.
So Wade Barrett wins the contract. He's the only one that technically has a WWE contract in storyline, and I think it's CM Punk and John Cena in the ring.
Yes.
No. Yes, that is it.
Yes.
I was confused because when the Shield debuts, it's also CM Punk and John Cena in the ring. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, you mean the actually better built faction?
Yes.
Wait. You mean the faction that was supposed to be under the tutelage of CM Punk?
Exactly. But not really. But yes. But not really.
Yeah, because they pulled that plug real quick.
But not really. Just remember.
So
But
Wade
really.
Barrett comes during the CM Punk John Cena match. Wade Barrett comes out, and we're like, all right, Wade Barrett's here. He won the contract. It's totally reason. And then you start seeing all these other people, and they're wearing the Nexus shirt. They're wearing the black shirts with a big N on it, and then they fucking wreck everyone. I mean, Daniel Bryan gets let go because of this segment because he's choking Jake Roberts out with his own tie. Justin Roberts, sorry.
Wait, didn't they like start taking apart the ring and everything too?
Yes, they destroy everything. It's amazing. Granted, they fuck up the next week the whole like shit because Daniel Bryan leaves and they have to make up a reason why he's not there anymore. And then the Nexus doesn't really go anywhere. But I feel like it was impactful enough to our group, especially because there is a group photo on my Facebook page. Monoxide is tagged in it, where we have Nexus shirts made, but instead of a N, it's a Y for YWC. Because we thought we were hilarious, and we were the group that went to WrestleMania. We were probably the biggest group of YouTubers going to WrestleMania, and we would bring other people. But anyways, so we had these shirts made. They looked like the Nexus shirt, except they had a Y in it. And I don't know how many times people asked us, "What's wrong with that Nexus shirt?" And we're like, the first couple times, I don't know about Monoxide, but I know the first couple times we were like, oh, well, we made a shirt. We have a YouTube group that goes to WrestleMania every year, blah, blah, blah. We thought it'd be hilarious if we had these these YWC shirts that looked like the Nexus shirts. And then after maybe the fourth time, I was like, yeah, we got the misprint shirts. Like, we ordered Nexus shirts, and then this one showed up, and I didn't want to send it back.
With your name on it, by the way.
Yeah, our names were on the back of them, too. Because our friend Alex made them, not the Alex that Guapo knows, the other Alex.
Yes, the one I know.
And it had our YouTube names on the back, except Monoxide's only has Monoxide on the back instead of his whole YouTube channel. And they had a quote from all of us, too.
I had a Kung Pao quote. Because me and Alex were big fans of that movie, Kung Pao. But there was one thing that was never noted, is that, you know, all the people that take down the ring or build it up and build up the tables? The Nexus just made their job a hell of a lot easier that night.
That's true. They did do that.
Yeah, so...
But they wrecked everything, and it was awesome in that moment. Granted, the Nexus angle did not go anywhere after that.
You forgot another thing, Kristen. You forgot that a group of us YouTubers made a video where we represented each of the Nexus members. And
I was Justin Gabriel.
And here's the funny story. I had the most subscribers out of all of us, so somebody pitched that Steven, Monoxide, needs to be Wade Barrett, and I said, fuck you, I'm Daniel Bryan, motherfuckers. I'm taking D-Bry, because I've been a big fan of D-Bry since he was in the Independents. So, and I find it funny that I went with that choice, because out of all the Nexus members that we represented, mine just happened to actually win a world title, other than Bray Wyatt, but nobody was Bray Wyatt.
No, it was only original Nexus members.
Exactly, so.
I just know that Alex was David Otunga.
And we used to pick on him for it. I used to call him the Rob Terry of Nexus. and he would laugh at me and then tell me go fuck myself.
Anyways, that was my number 6.
Yes, my number 6. I'll be surprised if it doesn't appear on either your list, but this is on my list. And you'll definitely understand why it's on the list. Number 6... the CM Punk Pipe Bomb promo.
This one's number 3 for me.
Okay.
Well, it was an honorable mention for me.
Okay, so CM Punk, at the time, was rumored to be leaving on July 17th. That was his last committed date. And they put him in the title match for some reason. And there had been rumors that Punk was unhappy. Punk had planned to just go. There wasn't really any idea of where he was going to go. Well, they had a special 3-hour Raw, which was in Vegas. It was one of those spin the wheel, make a deal, do bullshit. So, CM Punk, we already knew he was leaving because he announced it on Raw. I don't know if it was that night or if it was like a week or two prior or something like that. But, anyways, the main event was John Cena versus R-Truth in a table match. And so they're having this routine match. The first flag that should have been waved at me mentally was when he came out, he was wearing a Steve Austin shirt, which was weird. Now, I remember somebody made a reference to this, that Paul Heyman, when he cut his pipe bomb promo on Vince McMahon prior to Survivor Series 2001, he was wearing a Steve Austin hat. So it seems like the cool thing is to have, when you're doing a pipe bomb, is to wear something Steve Austin merchandise. Somebody should have gave Joey Styles the notice when he cut his, but anyways. So, CM Punk is out there to distract John Cena. He distracts Cena. Cena gets attacked, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, CM Punk grabs a microphone. He sits Indian style on the stage, and he starts rolling with promo. Now, obviously you guys know, if you've been watching the show, that I have the promo memorized. I've watched it so many fucking times. Because it's one of my favorite promos ever. So
it's a great promo.
It's a great promo. So he's rolling. I'm not really paying, I'm paying attention to what he's saying, but I'm not like into it like anything. I'm thinking, oh, it's just another routine CM Punk promo. So he's going, and I wasn't even going crazy when he said you're as good as kissing ass as Hulk Hogan was. I don't know if you're as good as Dwayne, blah blah blah. The first red flag that came to me was when he said, I am the best wrestler in the world, because wrestler is such a dirty word to this product. And not only that, it was around that time that Vince started to really get anal with terms such as, oh, it's not even sports entertainment anymore, it's called action soap opera. It was
like a list came out,
Yeah.
like not too long before this.
Yeah, so
like maybe a month.
It was strange to hear him say wrestler. So I'm now like, okay, I see where he's going with this. So he starts talking about his grievances, and it's like, well, this is true. He's not getting any of these opportunities despite him busting his ass. So he's talking, and eventually he hits the big nail that makes this a different pipe bomb. So he says, I'm leaving with the title on July 17th, and hell, who knows, maybe I'll go defend it in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe I'll go back to Ring of Honor. Hey, Colt Cabana, how you doing?
And he especially didn't mention other companies on WWE.
Right. There was only one other time that happened, and that was Matt Hardy's promo when he came back in 2005 to do that program with Edge. He came out and he said, Edge, Lita, the WWE can all kiss my ass, and he says right before he's restrained, he said, if anybody wants to see me, come see ROH, and then they cut him off and drag him away. That was the only other time they mentioned Ring of Honor, but this was the first time I remember Ring of Honor being mentioned. And I was just like, I literally bugged out, because that was the first time they ever mentioned another promotion. Now, John Cena did it last year with AJ Styles. He mentioned PWG, Ring of Honor, etc. But at the time, this was not common. So he keeps rolling, and then he pulls out another one. He mentioned somebody's flickering or something.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting ice.
Oh, it's okay. Then he mentions John Laurinaitis, which is a name that, as far as I can recall, was never mentioned on TV either. And he's just going on and on and on, and eventually his promo cuts. What made this promo so great was that after he's done, and he's screaming like, I'm the best that you got, I'm the best in the world, you can't really hear him because he doesn't have a mic anymore. It doesn't like fade into the WWE logo and then just goes away. It cuts immediately and goes right to an ad for the show that was coming on right afterwards. Like as if they had to cut right away. It made it look so real, so authentic, and I remember a comment that I had an issue with, which was made by X-Pac. Because everybody was like debating whether it was real or whether it was fake. X-Pac,
I remember that part where everybody was like, "Did that just was that supposed to happen? Was that real?"
So X-Pac says, "Oh, who cares if it was real or fake? Just enjoy that it was great promo." But I said in response in a video that I made previously when I did Crack Skulls, you can check it out on this channel. It was literally right after it happened. I said it full-fledged. That's the fun of it. Is questioning what did we just see? Was it real? I know wrestling's fake. Eric Bischoff has said this many times. Oh, I know wrestling is fake and all that, but that's not supposed to happen. That really happened. That's the fun in it. Is when you know this is supposed to be entertainment, but you question yourself, did what just happened actually, was that supposed to be part of the show? That brought the promo to another level. And I remember Stuart saying this, and it's a great point. What's so great about it is that even though he defamed the product, he defamed it in a way that it intrigued you to want to keep watching rather than just hearing like, oh shit, this company are a bunch of dicks, I'm not paying attention to them anymore. It intrigued you to watch more. And I love this promo.
And even though he was saying a lot of stuff that the fans still liked, he continued to maintain his heel character when he talks about the part where, I'm not on those Collector's Cup, blah, blah, and then you come and shove it in my face at like 3 o'clock in the morning asking for an autograph. You're just as big a part of the problem as everyone else.
Mm-hmm. That was amazing. This whole entire promo is addicting, and to anybody who's got any sort of love for the business, or loves wrestling, I should say, definitely check out, this is what I would recommend for the promo for it to make sense. Check out some of CM Punk's work before this in WWE. And check out, I would say, the last year that he was in the company prior to that promo. I would say shortly after Straight Edge Society. Watch his career and then watch this promo, because that's when it becomes effective, in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That's why I have this at number 3. It's much higher up. But I also don't have as long a history with wrestling as Monoxide does.
22 years. Wasted.
Guapo? Number 5.
My number 5 is the Hardys' return to WWE at WrestleMania 33. Just because I know Monoxide had it as an honorable mention, or Kristen, did you have it at number 10?
No, I had something else at number 10.
Okay.
Hang on. You think I put a Hardy returning thing on my top 10 list? Really?
Maybe.
After all the shit? Continue.
Weren't you a fan of the old Hardys, though?
I was.
Yeah.
There is a picture of me doing the Hardy guns. I don't know what happened, but I'm not as big a fan anymore. But continue.
Me being a Hardy mark from when I was younger, because I love the Hardys. Me and my brother both used to watch Hardy matches, and like, yes, we could be doing all that because we're brothers too. And no, we couldn't. I can remember many of times getting twisted faded or anything like that on top of a bed for my brother, or me doing it to him. So having the Hardys come back to WWE after being away for so long, after having that little issue that Jeff had with Sting at Impact thing, you know. And then
Trey Road.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that. This is a positive episode, remember?
Yeah.
Positive!
No. You gotta say it like me. It's positive.
After the Hardys reinvigorated, after the 7 deities
Here it comes.
have shown them the path of righteousness. Yeah.
We can't go one goddamn show. We can't go one goddamn show.
No, Kristen, because you will be enlightened.
I'm just going to be happy when I win this bet.
You will have to fade away and classify yourself as
obsolete.
Because
I'm just so excited that I'm going to win this bet.
Wait a minute. Your prediction has just rendered a powerful premonition. That eventually the leader of the WWE, Nick Mahan, is going to see the error of his ways and let the broken universe shine itself on the Raw on Monday nights. Yeah.
And soon, the Hardys, the broken brilliance, as you would, will reclaim their tag titles of the world.
And we will
I'm so glad I'm drinking during this.
We have a special Monday Night Raw at the Hardy compound.
Yeah.
Yes, where we will see the WWE debut of King Maxwell. He may be 2 years old in his vessel, but his soul is 2,000 years old.
And we'll also get the WWE debut of Senor Benjamin.
And Vanguard 1.
Yes. So, the Hardys' return to WrestleMania was, how do you say, splendid?
Wonderful!
Yes. And that's my number 5.
Oh, we're done now? Okay.
Delete!
Anyways, you can go.
My number 5 is Sasha Banks versus Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn for the NXT Women's Championship. The first version, not the second one.
I was there for that awesome match.
It was a match that I remember because I was out on a project and I happened to find one other person on this project that liked wrestling, mentioned something about it, and I'm like, well, I have the WWE Network. I'm gonna hook my computer up to the TV in my hotel room. Do you want to just come and watch it? And so we watched it, and I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, just totally enthralled with this match, with everything that had gone on, because it had a great storyline leading up to it. Bayley, after try again, not winning the women's championship, she gets injured. She comes back. She decides, I'm going to prove that I am good enough to compete for the women's title, and I'm just going to start beating people on the roster. And she goes through Charlotte. She goes through Becky. She goes through everybody she can. And finally she gets her match with Sasha. And, the whole, there's no way you can do this from Sasha and Bayley, being the underdog and everything. And the match is just phenomenal. Bayley almost kills Sasha Banks with that Hurricane Rana she does near the end. My one complaint about this match is I feel like that's how the match should have ended, with that crazy ass move at the end. And I feel like the Bayley to belly at the very end was kind of tacked on just to be like, well, I have to do my finisher to pin her. But that is my one complaint in a amazing match that is the pinnacle of women's wrestling in this era. That is, I feel like, to me, I feel like that is the bar that women's matches and matches in general should measure themselves to. Not the match, but I mean, this was a match that I'm trying to find the words. It was a match that wasn't the main event, and yet people were talking about it more than a match also on this pay-per-view, which was Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens, which was fucking great too. But yet people were talking about this match.
Yeah.
When you can outshine Finn Balor and Kevin Owens,
ladder match,
that's saying something.
They had a ladder match. Keep that in mind. It was a
Yeah.
ladder match, and they overshined it. I gotta give Sasha Banks credit. I never really cared for her work, but this is definitely her best match by far. I loved it. It was great.
It is the match in which women's matches should be measured to. And some other matches.
Do you know something? The great thing
What?
is, the build to this was so fucking simple. It was the simplest of shit. And yet, 2 nights later, in the same building, Team PCB versus the Bellas happened. And
That's true.
It was great. But yes, I do. Anything else?
No, it's a great women's match. It's a great match. I shouldn't even say it's a great women's match. I remember I did a review of this pay-per-view with Spaz on our channel, The Black Cat Feline. And I remember saying, because of this match, because up until this point, I feel like we described match, especially women's matches, of that was pretty good, especially for a women's match. And I felt that description was no longer acceptable after this match. This match proved that the women could have just as good a show-stealing match as the men, and it was no longer acceptable to just be okay as a women's match.
Yep.
Yes.
Anyways.
Monoxide number 5.
Number 5, mine is pretty interesting. My number 5 is Daniel Bryan announces his involvement in the title match at WrestleMania 30, aka Occupy Raw. Now.
Oh, I remember this. This is a good one. I forgot about this one. Go ahead.
So, anyways, I've been a huge Daniel Bryan fan, even before he got to WWE. In fact, I'll never forget, you and I, Kristen, when we were talking about NXT when it first came up, the reality show version. Daniel Bryan was one of the names brought up, and you were like, who's this guy? And I kept telling you, this guy's fucking awesome. Trust me. He is
I
awesome.
remember that.
So, there you go. See? Great minds think alike. So, Daniel Bryan has always been a favorite of mine because he has a genuine likability to him as much as he is just a great wrestler. And I've met the guy 3 times, and I can verify that guy is just too nice sometimes to be in the wrestling business. He's like Mick Foley. They're the nicest soul, kindest souls. Although I should bring these 2 names up, William Regal and Chris Hero, Cassius Ohno. They were great people to meet. Anyways, so Daniel Bryan always had a disadvantage to him. He's small. He's not the tall guy. He wrestles great. He's a Benoit Guerrero type, but he's never that guy that WWE's going to look at and say he's a star. They're always going to think of his size. So around 2011, he won Money in the Bank, and he won the world title. And they wanted to turn him heel, so he wanted to do something annoying. So he started saying, yes! Yes! Like, so over-exaggeratedly.
I remember that. He would win the matches, like, on DQ or count out or some bullshit reason, and he would do the yes, celebrating like he had just won at WrestleMania by tapping somebody out.
Yeah. So he did this to be annoying. He got it from, I think, Diego Sanchez from the UFC. He did this when he would enter the ring. But Diego Sanchez was much more intense. So, anyways, so Daniel Bryan does this to be annoying. The problem is it started to catch on, and the fans started joining in on him. At WrestleMania weekend that year in Miami, everybody was, the three most over guys were The Rock, Brock Lesnar, and Daniel Bryan. Everybody was doing the yes chant, myself included. I'm a big Daniel Bryan fan. I was so happy.
On WWE's own account, it is the second most. I think they did a top 5 of chants essentially, or slogans or whatever when it comes to WWE. This one is only on the yes, 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 or no, no, no chant is under what?
Wow. Okay. Anyways, so he lost in 18 seconds, which pissed me off. It put a sour taste in my mouth through that.
It pissed everyone off that WrestleMania.
Like, it literally made the show that much more of a hindrance to watch.
It took 3 matches for the crowd to recover.
Anyway, so throughout the year, he was doing comedy things, but he was still getting over. He was still popular and all that. Then eventually he got a match with John Cena for the title at SummerSlam. And I'm watching this match. It was a great match. Daniel Bryan... I should make note. Triple H was special guest referee. Randy Orton had just won Money in the Bank the month prior. So Daniel Bryan wins the title. Randy Orton comes out. Triple H screws him. Randy Orton cashes in, takes the title. So Daniel Bryan had the title for like 5 minutes. So it was... the storyline was that Daniel Bryan was too small. They were actually playing it up on it. Oh, you're just a B+ player. You're breathing very heavily, Kristen, by the way.
Sorry.
All good. Anyways, so they do this angle, and throughout the months, it's like, okay, they're going to finally give him the belt, and they never did.
The storyline's just so intense that I had to start breathing heavily.
I mean, I don't mind if you orgasm through the storyline because it was that good.
Not quite that good, but continue.
Don't worry, you'll orgasm through the Broken Hearties too, as well. So
yeah.
No, it will not. It'll be a very sad day for me. But continue.
So Daniel Bryan went off to feud with the Wyatts, and at Royal Rumble he faced Bray Wyatt after turning heel and then turning back face. And everybody thought he was going to be in the Rumble. Then number 30 came out. It was Rey Mysterio. Everyone was angry.
Oh, everyone was so pissed.
Including myself. Batista won. Keep in mind, people weren't cheering Roman Reigns. They were cheering anybody but Batista that year. Okay?
That's
Just
true.
letting you know. Anyways, so I was pissed off. Then the next month, then we got the rumor that he was supposed to face Sheamus at WrestleMania. And CM Punk was supposed to face Triple H. I'm like, oh, that really sucks. So anyways, CM Punk leaves. So now Triple H needs an opponent. It's Daniel Bryan. So Daniel Bryan's asking, or after No Way Out or Elimination Chamber, he wants a match with Triple H, and Triple H refuses to give it to him. Now, up until this point, I had already got my tickets to WrestleMania. I can't speak for you because we weren't talking at the time. But I remember everybody was like bullish on Mania. They were just like, I'm just not caring to go. It's gonna suck. Randy Orton versus Batista in the main event. I'm like, but you're gonna get Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. At least we're getting that. Yeah, but it's just not the same. Whatever. So, anyways, he does this Occupy Raw thing where he gets all the audience into the ring with Daniel Bryan shirts, and they refuse to leave. They want a match with Triple H. Triple H and Stephanie comes out, and they're like, fuck this, we're not doing this. Bring out an opponent, or bring out a wrestler. Let's get the show going. Damian Sandow comes out. He comes out for like a second, and he just walks away. He knows he ain't gonna accomplish anything. Then they get 2 security guards to come out. They go out and they're like, I ain't dealing with this shit. So Stephanie, I've been a big critic of Stephanie's work since she turned heel recently, because she won't allow anybody to get one up over her for the most part. in this segment, she did absolutely beautiful. She was awesome. She played exactly the role she has to play. Spoiled brat that's given the $1 billion kingdom. She's screaming like, "This is my world! I own all of you! You have nothing on me! Get out! Get it!" She's screaming off the top of her lungs, and Daniel Bryan's like, "No, you are going to give me this match whether you like it or not." And Triple H, to Triple H's credit, his acting is so great when he does not have the advantage. He is awesome at this. So Triple H grabs the mic and is like, you want me at WrestleMania? You're on, but you're going to regret it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So then he's turning back, and Daniel Bryan's like, whoa, hold up. That's not all that I want. Listen, everybody wants me to beat the crap out of you at Mania. But you want to know what they also want? They want me to be in the world title match. And then I just stopped for a second. I'm like, he's not going to do it, is he? And he says, everybody wants me in that title match. So, in the stipulation for our match, if I beat you at WrestleMania, I get put into the world title match, and it becomes a triple threat. At that point, all my friends, including myself, we went from saying, this is such a bullish WrestleMania, to, I'm fucking excited for WrestleMania. It took a fucking segment to just get us from bullish to, I can't wait to be at WrestleMania. This promo had such impact. Now, to be fair, him winning the world title, I guess, should be on this list, but it's not him winning the world title. It was this promo that, because I knew by the time this promo happened that he was winning the world title.
That's true. I had that same thought of, I feel like Daniel Bryan winning at WrestleMania should be on my list, but because I felt like it was so telegraphed, like I knew he was probably going to win. There was no way they were going to have this level of stipulation and then not have him win.
And then not
like I feel like it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
That was all I had. They wouldn't have this level of stipulation and then not have him win.
Well, not only that, but earlier in that night, they took Taker's streak from us. So if they were going to take Taker's streak and Daniel Bryan doesn't win the title, the fucking building would have burned. So
that's true.
So anyway,
the Silver Dome would be gone.
I still marked. Oh, I thought it was the Superdome.
It is the Superdome.
Okay. So anyways, Daniel Bryan, him winning the title was a great moment for me. It was a special moment, but I knew it was going to happen. I mean, I don't really have a logistical reason why it's not on this list, but this part just made me just jump off my seat and go, I can't wait for Mania now. Just this promo alone, because it was finally, they're giving him that ball. They're finally going to give him a chance.
They finally caved into the fans.
Yeah, and then they went with
and CM Punk, and then CM Punk left. Like, a lot of things had to happen for that to happen.
Yeah, I would say
the fans were totally behind Daniel Bryan. Triple H needed an opponent. The fans were totally behind Daniel Bryan and pissed that he wasn't in the Royal Rumble. A lot of shit had to happen.
Yeah, this was without a doubt, the craziest storyline ever, and it was all because of us wanting him in that spot. So, this is my number 5.
Guapo, number 4.
Number 4 will be the debut match of Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn at NXT TakeOver Dallas.
Can I just say he has the greatest entrance music. I may not be on
False,
the Shinsuke
but
Nakamura.
it's
okay. To me, he has the greatest entrance music.
It is great,
I may not
but it's
be
not
on.
glorious.
Oh, well, that one's pretty good.
Until I'm victorious.
I like Shinsuke's music more than Glorious.
Oh, something about Glorious just gets me.
But I'm not on the Shinsuke Nakamura bandwagon completely, but he has the best entrance music. Except whenever they do a special entrance for him and they have the violin player, it sounds really cool and it looks really cool until he comes out on the ramp and then he's just there with this dude playing the violin and like they have to like go around each other. It's weird, but sorry. Continue.
Yes. Yeah, just the match was fucking great because, it's fucking Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn.
It was a great
They
match.
didn't talk about the match whatsoever beforehand. All they talked was maybe 5 minutes of, yeah, we'll do this, and that's about it. Everything else was completely improvised.
It was a match for the match's sake as opposed to this big, grand storyline.
Correct.
Well, I would say it was big because it was the signing of Shinsuke Nakamura. They did build up that, okay, yeah, Shinsuke Nakamura's coming in. Sami Zayn was just thrown in there to give Nakamura an opponent and to have a great match.
And it happened.
And it did happen. And I saw that match. Fantastic. Fantastic match. Not Nakamura's best. I've seen his match with AJ Styles at New Japan was better. But you can't take credit away from Sami Zayn. For a WWE style match that to have with Nakamura, fantastic.
Yes.
Anything else, Guapo?
No, just because the fucking match was absolutely amazing, and to have Nakamura in WWE finally was fucking great.
My number 4 is AJ Styles debuting at the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. Simply because I did not think I would ever see AJ Styles in a WWE ring. I thought he was one of those people, kind of like Sting at the time, before him, that we were just never going to see in WWE. And around that time, I'd stopped reading dirt sheets because I was tired of getting spoiled on things. I didn't want to know ahead of time. I wanted to be surprised if some shit happened. That'll come into play in my later picks. So I was completely and just shocked when he showed up. We do a Royal Rumble pool every year for the smart marks that go and watch the pay-per-view in a big group. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Guapo, I believe our friend Ruffin's wife, who wasn't even at the pay-per-view, we let her have some spots because we needed some more people in the Rumble pool. I believe that she got AJ Styles, and she was in a
she
Skype
did.
call or video call or something.
Yeah, we were
losing our shit. We were losing our shit.
What? What is it?
What's happening? Who's happening? Who is
You
this?
just fucking got AJ Styles.
Oh my god! And I think he came in at number 2. I think he came in at number 2. Was he number 3?
The first one was Roman Reigns, and second one was
Rusev.
Rusev. Yeah, you're right.
Fucking AJ Styles in WWE, and I think we can all agree he's had a pretty good career in WWE since then.
Amazing.
Yes.
It's on par with when Ric Flair came in the early 90s, when we never thought Ric Flair would be in WWE, and then he came in and fucking tore the house down.
AJ Styles debut, Royal Rumble 2016.
Okay, so that's number 4. My number 4 is weird because it's not a match. It's an actual move. I don't even know if you could call it a move, but it's a moment that happened in the match. I said earlier, the Mankind, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, the whole match was Mark Mo, but this particular moment, I shit you not, I literally went bonkers because I was there live for it. Undertaker kicking out of Triple H's tombstone at WrestleMania 27.
That's a good one. That match is a good match.
That match, everybody has a
end of an era.
No. That was Hell in a Cell.
Was that Hell in a Cell? There was 2 Triple H matches, weren't there?
Technically 3, but yeah, 2 back to back.
2 back to back.
This was the first one, the one in Atlanta, Georgia, I don't know what they call the stadium, but they just recently closed it. But anyways, I was looking forward to this match, unlike certain people. Some people just didn't really care, and some people have differing opinions on this match.
I can tell you that I didn't care for this match at the beginning, and then when it happened, I'm like, that was a fucking good match.
I love this match. I watch it every once in a while. It's a really interesting match. It's a really differently built match, but there's only one criticism I have, and it isn't even in the match. It's Undertaker's music at the time was Ain't No Grave from Johnny Cash and playing it over and over and over.
That was a mistake.
But with that said, I don't like the fact that every time I go watch that match, it's edited to his common theme. It's like, Just leave it as it is. You did it. What are you gonna do? And plus, I think because that they put the newer music in, now you don't hear the commentary. So, anyways, I'm watching this match. I'm with you. I'm with Johnny Thunder.
Yes.
Guapo, number 3.
Hold up. I'm not done.
Oh wait. Oh, I thought you took a really long dramatic pause. I thought you were done.
No, I was still talking, but
okay,
anyways.
go ahead.
So, I'm with Johnny. I'm with you. I'm with a big group of people. And all of a sudden, we're watching this match, and I remember Johnny saying, wow, Undertaker really can't move anymore, because the match it's more about big spots. So we're watching, and there's a part in the match when Undertaker's just getting his ass whooped. He's getting beat. He's getting pummeled. And, like, Triple H at one point is like, what's wrong with you? Stay down! And it's just like, wow. So anyways, Undertaker tries to go for a choke slam. He grabs him by the throat, and Triple H just looks at him and is like looking at him like a pathetic dog. So Undertaker backs up, and Triple H just looks at him and does the cutthroat sign. And Undertaker goes for a swing. He misses, and Triple H picks him up for a tombstone. Now we couldn't hear it because we were live. But on the commentary, you hear Jim Ross going, no, this can't be, poetic irony! And we're all kind of thinking that same thing, poetic irony, the Undertaker streak ending with a tombstone. So Triple H hits the fucking tombstone, and he pins him, and the crowd is like, wait, is this going to happen? 1, 2, because he got hit by like 3 pedigrees by this point. 1, 2, and he kicked the fuck out. I remember me and Alex, we were sitting next to each other. We were standing up for this point. We grabbed each other like, no, the streak's not going to end here. When he kicked out, we hopped up and down and screamed like 2 high school cheerleaders. This, out of every kick out I have ever seen, this shocked me. I did not expect him to kick out. I was scared his streak was over. Being an Undertaker mark, I thought it was over. And when he kicked out, I literally went nuts. I thought my heart was sinking. And when he kicked out, I was like, there's hope. Then he put in the Hell's Gate, and that was it. But goddamn, I had never jumped up that hard in my life and screamed that hard. As much as I love Taker Michaels from the year previous, that moment fucking made me fucking ballistic. So, that's my number 1.
Alright.
Number 3, Guapo.
My number 3 is Kevin Owens' first match on the main roster versus John Cena. Just because if anybody ever wants to watch wrestling and like understand it or something like that, that's one of the matches I show them. Just because as a match as a whole, it's very solid as in a work style, because you see Cena's normal style, but you also see Kevin Owens just all over the fucking place, that this dude's way too big to be doing all this shit, but holy crap, he's doing it, and then he fucking beats Cena. It was perfect. Everything about the match was perfect, and then the payoff with Kevin beating Cena and then stomping on the U.S. title was great.
Oh, that was great. I remember that. You know what's great actually about that whole thing? They do I think it's Kevin Owens, Dean Ambrose, and Cesaro have like when WWE used to do that table for 3 on the network, where they get 3 wrestlers together and just they talk about their careers and shit that's happened and whatever. Kevin Owens talks about during this feud with John Cena that his son is a huge John Cena fan. Like, Kevin Owens' son just loves John Cena so much. And he has this, one of those wrestle buddies, one of those, like, pillows that are shaped like John Cena, and you can squeeze them and they make noises and whatever. And his son had left that wrestle buddy, his John Cena wrestle buddy, in their room, in Kevin Owens and his wife's room. And he was sitting there, and he grabs it, and he's like, putting it in a headlock and like punching it in the face and whatever. And his son hears it in another room and runs in, and he goes, "Dad, what are you doing?" And Kevin Owens, I guess trolling his own son, looks over at his son with the John Cena wrestle buddy in a headlock and punching it in the face, looks over at his son and goes, Practicing.
Reasons why Kevin Owens is amazing.
Exactly.
Anyways, number 3.
My number 3 was the CM Punk pipe bomb, and it was for all those reasons. It felt real. It felt like, did CM Punk just hijack our television, especially when they cut him off right at the point where he's like, and let me tell you about this. What was the foundation? He was going to say some shit about one of the
anti-bullying campaigns.
Yeah, the anti-bullying campaign, and they cut him off right there. Like, it felt like CM Punk was like, they sent me out here to do this promo, and now I'm just gonna fucking say some shit and see when they cut me off. Fuck them. That's what it felt like. It felt very real. We found out later on that they just gave him a mic, said air out your grievances, and they just let him do it. But it felt like Punk hijacked the show, like a legitimate hijacking of the show. Like, is this supposed to be happening? Was this planned? The pipe bomb was great, considering we're still talking about the pipe bomb to this day.
Yep.
That was my number 3.
My number 3, I'm surprised it hasn't appeared on either of your lists. Then again, Chris, I'm not shocked because you said that this was 2007 after.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jericho debuts in WWE. Or WWE.
Well, then you're going to be shocked later, but continue.
It's probably her number 1.
I know. But anyway, so there was, at that time, there was that whole Y2K thing. They were building up to Y2K.
Oh, you're talking about the 2007 Chris Jericho returns? Yeah, that's my number 2. But I have a whole story.
No, I'm talking about the 1999 debut.
Oh, you mean that one? Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, I ruined my number 2 now.
His actual debut.
Yes, his actual debut where they were building...
This one is his actual debut to me.
They were building up Y2K. Remember in the year 2000, the big monstrosity that's going to happen when 2000 hits. So anyways, they had this countdown clock, and I was thinking to myself, is WWE doing their own Y2K countdown or whatever? But I was stupid at the time. I didn't realize the timing difference. So it just keeps happening. Now, all of a sudden one night, it's like maybe an hour left before the countdown is over. So The Rock's in the ring. He's cutting a promo on Big Show. I can't remember if it was on Big Show or Undertaker. It really doesn't matter. He's cutting a promo on somebody. The clock is going down, and it's going down. Now, let me preface this. My mom used to watch Raw with me, which is weird, because obviously it was an adult show at the time. So, anyways, so we were watching this countdown. The lights are dimming. It's like all colorful. You hear the dun 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 dun, and The Rock's just like pacing back and forth, like, who's coming out here? Whose ass am I gonna whip? So it just keeps going, dun 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 dun, then the drum beat stops, and then the lights go out, and then all of a sudden fireworks go off. Then you see something on the Titantron, and you hear this music, and all of a sudden,
come on,
yeah. Well,
I
it wasn't
gotcha.
that yet. It wasn't that yet. It was like,
Break the
I'm on
wall
edge.
down.
At the time, it was, I'm on edge. And then all of a sudden, you hear, break the wall down. And then you see his name on the screen. And I knew Chris Jericho prior, because he was in WCW. So I knew of Chris Jericho before this. But when I saw that name, keep in mind, I'm only like 10 years old at the time. I never knew about dirt sheets. I didn't know if he was unsigned and then came here. I never knew he left WCW. So when I see Jericho, I'm like, holy shit, it's Chris Jericho. And my mom's like, who's this guy? Because she never knew about WCW. Or she knew of it, but she didn't watch it. I'm like, that's fucking Chris Jericho. That is Chris Jericho. And then he turns around. Well, no, first he's got his arms crossed and he goes, welcome to Raw is Jericho. And then he turns around, cuts this 3-minute promo. At that point, Chris Jericho became one of my favorites. And I thought he would just be a guy that he'd be my favorite for that time, like Carlito was in the mid-2000s. But he kept doing something to keep me liking him. Reinventing himself. And it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for this debut being so epic. So this has definitely got to be on the list. Jericho debuts.
All right.
Guapo, you're number 2.
My number 2 is my first ever WrestleMania, Mania 30, and the fact that I marked out like a little kid within the first 10 minutes, with Hulk Hogan coming out, which I knew Hogan was coming out just because, it's Hogan. He's already announced as the special guest announcer, or whatever it was.
He was hosting WrestleMania, like The
special
Rock
guest
did.
host of WrestleMania. I knew we were getting Hogan, which is awesome because I'd never seen Hogan in person or anything like that.
Even though he said Silverdome.
Even though he said Silverdome, but it was fun because we chanted Superdome at him and he corrected himself. Which, if you watch in the edited version of WWE, you don't get it, but it's fine.
I love that too because, well, I'll finish your moment.
Okay. And then all of a sudden, you hear glass shatter, and it's fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh, fuck. 2 people I've never seen before in life, in person, and holy shit, this is happening. This is my childhood. And then, can you smell? Holy fuck, and there it is. Number 3, and I am done. Childhood completed. I've seen the top 3 wrestlers of my childhood. Holy fucking shit.
I like that too because Steve Austin and The Rock gave Hogan shit about Silverdome.
It was great. And then it was both childhood completed that night was just within the first 15 minutes of the show. Childhood ended with the streak ending. Because Taker is in my top 5 of favorite wrestlers. He's probably number 1, honestly.
But you did not pull an Alex.
I did not pull Alex. I stayed to the end of the show. I also thought it was bullshit that they put the women right after to take the blow of this is bullshit. But
they did. They were like, fuck it, somebody go out there.
But and if you think of it, holy shit, the women were semi-main event. But
no, they were not. Don't even fucking say.
Technically, they were.
Technically, by their placement.
Technically, they were.
But in no real way were they.
Correct. But the whole show, starting off with the first match being Daniel Bryan and Triple H, that was the first time I've ever got to see Triple H live wrestling. And that was great because, hey, that's another check off the bucket list of I was a kid and one of these wrestlers is my favorite people in the world. Got to see Daniel Bryan defeat the odds against Triple H. Remember seeing Suave go for a quick piss and beer run, and then he missed the entire Shield segment. Andre Giant Battle Royal was great. Cesaro, holy fuck.
So just all of WrestleMania 30
basically
in general?
all of WrestleMania 30 in general, and the payoff of having Daniel Bryan win was absolutely amazing.
It's fun. Your first WrestleMania is fun, as evidenced by the fact that I just reviewed my first WrestleMania via watching it on pay-per-view was not nearly as fun as watching it live.
Well, of course, watching it a second time or a third time over is never going to be the same nostalgia. But also in the same token, I have watched WrestleMania 30 over again. I have skipped through some of the bullshit women's match. But everything else holds up pretty solid, besides the Shield thing, because it was only 5 minutes and Suave didn't see it.
That.
At all.
But yeah, the entire show itself was pretty solid, I think. And also the second night of Raw, having that very emotional beginning with Daniel Bryan, and then also the emotional speech from Warrior.
I was about to say, I'm
night,
surprised Ultimate Warrior didn't make it onto any of our lists, I think. That was a good night, and it was very, I can't find a word to describe it. Haunting is maybe a word that he would die right after that.
Yeah,
and if you go back and watch that Warrior speech on Raw, it's very, weird. It's almost surreal to listen to it and then know that he, died not that, like, a day, maybe?
Literally the day after.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because all of us were talking about how, wow, we got to see Warrior for his last 3 days of his life.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. I got home the very next day. I was there live for all three of those events. I was there for the Hall of Fame, WrestleMania, and Raw, which
That's
I
right.
never attended.
That's right. Steve went with us to the Hall of Fame, and
I
we
never
dressed
go.
up. Actually, we all dressed up. In Alex's words, everybody looked nice. Everybody was dressed up. Steve was there.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of us, decided to like wear suits and pretty dresses and whatever. And Steve was like, "I have a button-down shirt."
Hey, you came
Close
to my
enough.
defense, though.
I did. I'm like, that is dressed up for Steve. That is super dressed up.
That's right.
He might as well be wearing a tux.
Put on the nice black jeans.
Yes. So I
Steve
came.
in a nice button-down shirt. He might as well be wearing a tuxedo.
Yeah, I might as well be getting married at this point. I just need a bride. Oh, wait, where's my girlfriend? Anyways, I had gotten back that day on Tuesday. I met up with my girlfriend. I was tired, but we hung out at my house, and then I just get the news that he had died. I'm like, wait a minute, didn't I just see this guy 3 days in a row? Not only that, I never go to the Hall of Fame, other than this year, but that's because Kurt Angle was inducted, and I had to go.
The last 3 appearances of the Ultimate Warrior.
It was crazy, but yeah. Anyways, your number 2?
My number 2 is a Jericho return, but not the one that you guys just talked about, because I was not around for that Jericho return. My Chris Jericho return was 2007, and much like Monoxide knowing word for word the pipe bomb, this is the promo that I know, because before Chris Jericho comes in, I was very casual when it came to watching wrestling. Spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't know. I'm sure anybody that knows me, who has listened to me for a long time, or knows me off of this channel or our own, I started watching wrestling for, not the most athletic of reasons. I had just gotten off of a breakup with a guy I'd dated for a very long time, and I'm watching TV, and it's something that I watched at his house because at this boyfriend's house they didn't have cable, and this was back when like you had rabbit ears, when you had to when you put the antenna on your TV and shit. And they got 2 channels. They got C-SPAN and whatever channel Friday Night SmackDown was on. So I kind of knew vaguely who was on Friday Night SmackDown. This was around the time Batista was feuding with the Great Khali, the infamous, Great Khali smashing the basketball with his hands and Batista losing his shit saying, "I'm not a freaking basketball," or whatever he said.
Basketballs don't hold grudges. That's what it is.
Exactly. A very great time in wrestling history is when I started watching wrestling. And I was watching because I'm like, I am single. I finally have gotten over my boyfriend, and here are some hot dudes that I'm going to look at. Up until this Chris Jericho moment, I was a casual fan. This Chris Jericho return, I didn't know he was returning. I didn't know who Chris Jericho was. Clearly, if you watch the return videos, if you watch the videos, clearly the fans know he's returning. So it was apparently all over the dirt sheets because there was Y2J signs and everything. But me watching this as somebody who was a casual fan, didn't know Chris Jericho, didn't know a lot about wrestling other than what I had seen at that time. This made me a fan. Chris Jericho returning, he's so charismatic, he brings you into the promo, and it's this one, the one that I'm talking about, isn't even his best promos. Like, clearly the 2 other guys in the call can attest to the fact that this was probably not even his best promos, but it was so impactful for me. It's got me essentially where I am right now when it comes to wrestling. I would not be on this podcast with you guys right now without this Chris Jericho promo. Chris Jericho is my number 1 wrestler. Like, I love Chris. Just Chris Jericho can do no wrong.
Correct. Chris Jericho can do no wrong.
Exactly. The only guy I know that can get a clipboard over.
I can probably say in this call that I am the biggest Jerichoholic in this call.
You may be, but just remember, I went to Access and WrestleMania and Raw dressed as Chris Jericho in honor, and put several people on the list. Some of which were requested, but...
I met Chris Jericho several years back. It was at him and Shawn Michaels were going to be at this like big car rally thing in New Orleans, and you could tell that this car rally, when you walked in this building, you could tell who was there to meet, because Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels were on 2 different days. We drove up to New Orleans twice that weekend. You could tell who was there to meet Chris Jericho and who was there to go look at cars. And I remember sitting in line for like 2 hours to meet Chris Jericho, and I got him to sign one of the books, one of his books that I have. I think it was his first one, because I think my goal was to, every time I met Chris Jericho, get him to sign the next book kind of thing. That was we met Shawn Michaels first, because this is a funny story. We met Shawn Michaels the day before. Our friend Alex, the one that me and Guapo know, and Monoxide knows him too, but our Alex, the day before, we go meet Shawn Michaels, and Alex doesn't have a thing for him to sign. So in the 2 hours that we're waiting for Shawn Michaels, because we waited that long for Shawn Michaels too, he's trying to figure out something, and he finds an app on his like Kindle, on whatever tablet he has, that lets you like sign like you're signing for something. It's not like an autograph app. It was just an app that you could sign. And then he gets Shawn Michaels, he hands him the tablet. He's like, I want you to sign this. And Shawn Michaels like, you want me to sign the tablet? He didn't quite understand that. No, use your finger and like put your signature in and shit. And then he took a screenshot of the signature, and Shawn Michaels was like, I didn't just like pay your fucking mortgage or something, did I?
That's great.
But there was a long running joke about how we were gonna like print out Shawn Michaels' autograph and put it on like random shit. Like, here's a basketball signed by Shawn Michaels. So the next day, we go and meet Chris Jericho, and Alex does the same shit. He gives him the tablet and tells him he wants him to sign the tablet. Chris Jericho, I guess a little more tech savvy, knows exactly. He's like, all right, cool, whatever. And we're like, oh, you picked up on that a lot quicker than Shawn Michaels did. And he looks up at me and Alex, and with this look on his face, he just goes, yeah, technology, it just scares Shawn a little bit.
I think.
And Chris Jericho is the nicest guy to meet, at least at that meetup, at that signing he was. He was so nice. He talked to us. Chris Jericho returning 2007, that's what made me a wrestling fan. End of story.
Kristen, you'll be happy. I have pre-ordered Chris Jericho's new book.
I need to do that.
Same here.
Yes, you should.
All right. So
I like to have the physical copy of Jericho's books.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead, Monoxide.
Your number 2, Monoxide?
My number 2 is Kane returning to Raw the night after SummerSlam 2002.
Nice.
Kane had not been around for a while. He had gotten taken out by, I believe it was the NWO. They beat him up backstage, so he was gone. And in the lead up to SummerSlam, they were airing some video packages of him. And I'm like, oh, cool, Kane's going to come back. I've been a Kane fan for quite a while. In fact, out of every horror icon or anything like that, when I was a kid watching all this stuff, Kane is the only person to legitimately scare me as a child. Like, I was never scared of Michael Myers. I was never scared of Jason. I was scared of Kane. So, like, once I started to get used to Kane and not get afraid of him, I started to like him. Obviously, because storyline-wise, he's Undertaker's brother, so... But Kane was one of my favorites as far as, like, a monster. Because at the time when he was brought in, he was so good, and he was booked right. Somebody flushed the toilet. Kane...
Not me.
Now we got the culprit. So
She was trying to delete something.
God damn it. I run to the restroom for 2 seconds and I walk right back into a fucking broken Hardee's.
Because we heard you flush the toilet.
Well, it happened. Sorry. I had to go.
Anyways,
It's my 4th drink.
SummerSlam arrived, and no Kane. I was pissed, even though SummerSlam was awesome. It was like one of the best WWE pay-per-views. The next night, Test, Lance Storm, and Christian in the ring. They were doing the Un-Americans gimmick, and they were threatening to burn the American flag. So they were about to do it, and all of a sudden the music hits. And we're thinking Kane's going to come back, and then all of a sudden video package plays, and that's it. Nothing. And you could hear it in the fans. They're booing. They're like, come on, what the fuck? Booker T and Goldust come in to try and stop it, but obviously the numbers are too much for them. So Test beats up on him, and Test runs back into the ring. He's got the flame thrower, or whatever the hell it is, and he's got the flag, and he's just about to burn it. Then all of a sudden, bam! Fire goes up. Kane comes out. The audience goes nuts. JR is going nuts. He's like, it's the Big Red Machine! Kane walks in. He's storming right into the ring. He fucking lays out Test. He lays out fucking Lance Storm. Christian comes from behind, whacks him with a chair, and Kane just no-sells the shit out of it. So, Christian comes for it again with another shot. Kane chokeslams the shit out of him. Clotheslines Lance Storm's out. Test goes for a big boot. He ducks. Chokeslams Test. Everyone's going fucking nuts. Booker T does his spinneroonie. Kane does his Kane-a-rooney. This whole moment was fucking fantastic because the audience was super into it. I was super into it because I was so excited to see Kane back. And it got me so pumped up. It was like one of the few times that a return really pumped me up watching it from home. It was so fantastic. I can watch it now, even near 50. Actually, it was 15 years ago. 15 years after the fact, I could still watch it and get goosebumps just watching that return. It's one of the best returns in the history of wrestling when it comes to a wrestler coming back from a hiatus. It's one of the best, definitely.
Yes.
All right, number 1.
Guapo number 1.
My number 1 mark-out moment was from when I was but a little Guapo, going to my first ever SmackDown taping in New Orleans with my dad, where I did not just only witness a Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio match, but I also witnessed Undertaker coming out in a casket. Because at this point, I can't remember what year, but it was in the middle of the Undertaker versus Heidenreich feud. So I'm not sure, because I think they were leading up to a casket match. I think it was coming up that next month. At the next month's pay-per-view, Undertaker had came out with druids and all inside of a casket, and my little Guapo heart couldn't take it. It was too much, because I not only do I get to see the dead man, the Undertaker, which was at that moment in time my number 1 favorite wrestler, and still is probably fighting for number 1 spot too right now. It was I could not have had a better night.
You want to hear something about that story? Not that I know, I was not at Guapo's first thing. Guapo just told you his first going to SmackDown, was it?
SmackDown Live. SmackDown was my first ever live event.
My first ever live event? You guys, feel free to laugh.
It was WrestleMania, I know.
No. That was not my first ever. That was my first ever live pay-per-view. My first ever live event was a Monday Night Raw, and it was the Monday Night Raw that the Funkasaurus debuted.
Oh, God.
And Randy Orton and John Cena decimated the entire ECW roster. That was my first live wrestling event.
Oh, get ready for this. My first live event was a house show in 1996 where Bret Hart had to fulfill his house show commitments, and he had a fight with Roddy Piper. And I think it was at the time they were building to Shawn Michaels versus either Vader or Mankind, because he was the champion at the time.
But that's not my number one. Sorry, I didn't mean to stomp on you. I was trying to compare how great Guapo's first live show was to how awful mine was.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I was trying to make Guapo's look even more great compared to mine.
Anyway.
Yes.
My number one, and before we started recording, I believe it's before we started recording. I'm not sure when Monoxide pushes record. Before we started recording, when we were talking about our lists and everything, I told Monoxide that some of mine were not happy. And he was like, well, they're mark out. Like, this is a mark out moment list. And I said, I consider mark out moments that take you out of your smart markness and make you like a little kid again when you watch wrestling. Granted, I never watched wrestling as a little kid, but I can imagine, based on what you guys have said, watching wrestling as a little kid, that moment where you're not a smart, you don't know what the dirt sheets are, you don't know what's going on backstage. It's just a big story that's being told to you, kind of thing. And so I'm like, well, my number one is not, I was not happy about it, but it is a great moment. And I told him he would understand what I was saying when I told him that my number one moment is HBK's retirement match at WrestleMania 26.
Ah, yes! Where Shawn Michaels' career got deleted from existence.
So, the year before WrestleMania 25, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker have a great match. We talked about it at the last show, in the last podcast. They had a great match. This one had a far superior storyline that needed that match to have this story and this match. So Shawn Michaels loses at WrestleMania 25, and him and Undertaker go away for a little bit. And they come back. Shawn Michaels comes back. Triple H brings him back in kind of a hilarious DX storyline where, like, he's the chef at WWE headquarters in the cafeteria for whatever reason. He super kicks a little girl off screen.
Awesome.
That's the same time all this happens. They go to Little People's Court. DX wins. DX wins the tag team titles at some point. And looking back on it now, it's kind of like I maybe should have known that he was going to retire at that match, because it was kind of like a summing up of all the things he didn't get to do, like DX winning the title. They're doing all these silly, like, DX things that at the time I fucking hated because I was super smarky at that point. I was in the height of my smarkiness at that point.
What? You? Smarky?
I
No.
know. I was at the height of my smarkiness at that point. Anything that wasn't serious wrestling, I was just like, this is fucking stupid kind of bullshit. So, like, Little People's Court, all this, and then Shawn Michaels starts talking about that he needs to face The Undertaker again. He needs redemption. And Undertaker tells him no. He asks for a rematch. Undertaker tells him no. And he becomes obsessed with getting this rematch, doing anything he can to get this rematch. He finally gets the rematch, and he puts his career on the line. At this time, my favorite wrestler in this moment is, I love Shawn Michaels so much. Him and Chris Jericho are neck and neck to me. Monoxide's favorite wrestler is The Undertaker.
Oh, yes, you're gonna tell it!
So for so long, we're taunting each other, blah, blah, blah. WrestleMania 26. Were you sitting with us at WrestleMania 26?
Yes, I was, with you and D.
WrestleMania 26. They have this amazing match. At some point, at the very end, Shawn Michaels is on his knees trying to crawl up The Undertaker. He's so beaten down, so battered, so bruised. And he looks up at Undertaker. Does Undertaker do the slash across the throat at this point? I'm not sure.
No,
but Shawn Michaels looks up at him and does the DX suck it.
No, he did the cutthroat. He did the cutthroat, Shawn Michaels.
Did he do the cutthroat? I thought he did the suck it.
No, what happened was he crawls up and Undertaker's like, stay down, and he's just he's feeling sorry for this guy. And Shawn Michaels looks up at him and he does the cutthroat.
And then Undertaker puts him down. 1, 2, 3. And I legitimately cry. Cry. Because it's over for Shawn Michaels. I legitimately cry. That's why I say it is not a happy mark-out moment, but it is a great mark-out moment. I got to watch Shawn Michaels' last 2 matches at WrestleMania, and I did cry at WrestleMania 26, and I have no shame in it. Because I am a true fan.
Are you?
It brought me out of my smarkiness, out of the bullshitty stuff that sometimes internet wrestling fans fall into, where they're like never fucking satisfied and always bitching about it, and brought you back into that moment where you're just watching this story happen, and you watch HBK's career end, and people are chanting, thank you, Shawn, like the whole big deal, and he hangs out in the ring for just a minute. Undertaker leaves, hangs out in the ring for just a minute. I fucking actually cried when he retired. That's my number one moment.
One detail.
What's one detail?
It's a personal detail between you and I. You and I went back and forth on it. Yeah.
Oh, I remember a personal detail where Steve was a dick the entire time that I was upset about it.
Yes!
You mean that personal detail?
Because as
that
soon
you
as
were a fucking asshole the whole time?
As soon as the 3 count happened, I hopped out of my seat and went, 18-0, you little bitch! 18-0!
No. Don't let him fool you. He did not say you little bitch, because I would have killed him in that moment. He would be dead. He would not be speaking to us right now. He did not say you little bitch, but he did do the 18-0.
You looked on and you just sat down. And I kept going, yeah, what are you going to do about it?
He did not say you little bitch, though, or he would be dead.
We did walk outside. I talked to you. You were crying. I was like, come on, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
He was not a dick afterwards. He was a dick in the moment.
Yes, in the moment
I believe he was a dick. I believe he was a dick.
This is true.
It's a giant asshole. That is my number one moment. And I know, being the Jerichoholic that I am, that people were probably like, why was this trump the Chris Jericho moment? Because, it brought me out of smarkiness for like a moment. That's hard to do.
Yeah. Yep. All right. My number one is a moment that nobody really ever talks about, but it's a special moment within me. It's the same thing with you guys, the SmackDown Live that you got to for the first time, and you with Shawn Michaels Undertaker. My number one is Shawn Michaels returning on Raw 1998. Here's why. This was July 13th, 1998 edition of Raw. And Shawn Michaels had been gone for since WrestleMania, so it was about 4 months, because WrestleMania was in March that year. My mom got tickets to Raw for that year. I can't remember. Actually, yeah. It was my parents, myself, and I think it was my friend's father, because he's into wrestling. And we got tickets to go, and we got pretty good seats. We were like in the lower section. And so I had never been to a Raw. I had been to 2 house shows 2 years prior in '96. One was that one I just mentioned, and one was actually front row, where Mankind and Undertaker fought right in front of me. Undertaker threw Mankind right at me, and I had to jump my feet up so I wouldn't get hurt. It was really cool. But this was my first ever televised show that I was going to, a Raw. And this is the Attitude Era, so I'm like, there's not a lot of kids there. So I'm just sitting there. I bought a Steve Austin tape that they had at the time. I'm just sitting there. I'm enjoying being there live. And so the intro to Raw happens. Obviously, watching every week, I know the Raw intro. I'm singing along. The fireworks go off. I'm like, yes, this is fucking awesome. And the fucking first music that hits, Shawn Michaels. Now, I'm a big Undertaker fan, but I'm also a big Shawn Michaels fan, especially as a kid. When I was a kid, Shawn Michaels to me is like what the kids are with John Cena, or I guess now with Roman Reigns, or when in the 80s when the kids loved Hulk Hogan, or Randy Savage, or whatever. Me, my childhood heroes were that of Steve Austin, Bret Hart, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and then eventually Chris Jericho, but that was a little later on. Shawn Michaels was like my John Cena, because I've always loved the Rebels, other than Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, obviously, but I was a big Rebels guy. Shawn Michaels was just like one of those childhood heroes that I idolized. Like, when I do some of the cause stuff on the side, like, any character I created always emulated Shawn Michaels. A lot of my favorite matches involve Shawn Michaels. Even as a kid, when I started watching wrestling, my first event I ever watched was Royal Rumble 93. I loved Undertaker in the Rumble. But something about Shawn Michaels, when he came out, even though he was a heel on the show, I liked. I couldn't boo the guy even when he was a bad guy. So, when his music hit, let's see, it's 98, I'm 9 years old. I flipped. Shawn Michaels, regardless of what your opinion was of him at the time, this was before he was born again and all that, he came out, he did the Shawn Michaels taunt, he did the whole thing, because he had been gone for like 4 months, I hadn't seen him. I was like, where the hell is Shawn Michaels? I didn't know at the time he had the back injury. You got to remember, I'm a kid. I don't know about the back injury stuff. I don't know about he's going away for a while. I never knew where Shawn Michaels was, and then all of a sudden, Shawn Michaels' music hits. He comes out, he's doing his usual Shawn Michaels gig, and as soon as he gets on the turnbuckle, there's a point where I can see his face, and he says, you can make out what he's saying. He's like, I missed you all so much, and it was one of the most impactful moments as a kid to see Shawn Michaels come back, and this was the episode where he commentated, and Jason Sensation was with him doing all the impressions with Owen Hart and all Bret Hart, Undertaker, and all that. And Owen beat the shit out of him afterwards. But that was the same Raw. But when he came out, the first thing that I get to see as a kid when Raw starts is one of my favorite wrestlers returning, not to wrestle, but just to come back and be a part of the show. I never felt such a rush as a child for something so significant, and it was a moment, I didn't cry, but it was something, I don't know, there was something monumental about seeing this guy come back. A guy that I truly idolized since I started watching wrestling. A guy that, no matter what I do, any acting gigs I do, if I'm doing some sort of fucking, like, moves, like, actual, like, stunts, one of the stunts I have to do is a super kick, a sweet chin music. Shawn Michaels has such an impact on my life that, and this kind of defined like my love for the guy. So this is just a very personal moment for me. Everything else was cool and awesome. It was like mark out, but this just like this was personal. That's why I love it so much.
I think this is going to be our longest episode, guys.
Yeah.
It happens, you know?
I didn't think it would be, but
So emotional.
So emotional. Everyone's crying. Careers are deleted.
Yeah.
Returns are obsoleted.
Kristen doesn't understand the brilliance of it all.
Brilliance.
The only thing I'm sad about when it comes to this bet is that Suave is not involved in any way.
True. You have a point.
Except that if I can't deliver the now 2 chest chops I owe you, if when I win this, that I might let him do it.
Look. You can deliver one of them next week, okay?
I can. We should do a video for that. We should give it to
so.
Steve. We should give it to Steve, and it could be the pre-tape for the show.
No, what
Then you have to edit.
That's true. If Steve is okay with editing.
I will go ahead and do that, but on one condition.
What?
It can't be one chop, it has to be a couple. And on top of it, every time you chop him, he has to scream, delete! Delete! Delete!
He has to be okay with this, because technically I only owe him 1 chest chop, because Kevin Owens hasn't
done a package pile driver yet.
Doesn't have a package pile driver.
Oh, okay.
So if he's okay with me chopping him more than once, that's for him to agree, but he can yell delete during it. I will allow it.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, the Broken Brilliance has spoken. And now, you must all fade away and classify yourselves as obsolete!
Obsolete!
Yeah.
Yes. Until next time, she has been the Black
No.
Cat.
You don't get to outro me. Fuck you. Outro yourself.
She has been deleted!
You have been deleted! You cannot outro yourself!
Yes, I can. I
You are
outro myself.
obsolete.
Hey guys, I've been Kristen, and fuck these two assholes. Fuck Guapo for all the broken shit, and fuck Steve for being an asshole when I cried when Shawn Michaels retired.
Hey, Guapo.
And
Maybe-
for many other reasons, because Monoxide's an asshole. We all know
That's true.
this.
But, Guapo,
Yes.
you, me, and Suave should take her to the Hardy compound, where we will render her final deletion.
Yeah.
These two are-
I'm rendering a premonition. Yeah.
A premonition where you
It's,
and Meek Mahan.
It's moments like this are the reason why I have a giant bottle of rum on my desk.
Yes. Okay.
And why I need to pee midway through the show.
Okay, we're gonna leave now. So yes.
Yes. Thank you for another wonderful episode of Squared Circle Breakdown. Adios, amigos. Yeah.
Bye, guys.